It's been described as the best interview that Tommy Robinson's ever done. And you've got to actually credit Dan Wooten with it as well, because Dan, being the excellent and expert interviewer he is, managed to draw a lot out of Tommy that other less able interviewers might not have managed. And he said a lot in it. He talked about Nigel Farage, he talked about reform, he talked about Advance UK, he talked about the future of the UK, how we can actually win this thing. But he said something very, very interesting. And if you blink, you'll miss it. But what Tommy said in that interview exposes the deep state plot to hand the United Kingdom over to Islamists.
With the church leaders, it's in a church in Oxfordshire. It was a secret meeting, and it was to thrash things out with why we're angry. And before the meeting, the bishop briefed us that MI5 and MI5 and MI6 see the future of this country as Deobandi, yeah, which is the very conservative Islamic sect. This group are from Dewsbury, very conservative. Yeah, the Tablighi Jamaat mosque. It's problematic for us. Yeah, so we went into.
Tommy is unusually understated in this interview. To say the Deobandi are problematic would be a massive understatement. If you look at the history of the Deobandi, they're a sect that was set up in India in the late 1800s as an Islamist reaction against British rule in India. They spread obviously to the Muslim areas of India, which are now Bangladesh and Pakistan, and then by default up into Afghanistan. And during the Afghan war against the Russians and in the Afghan war, the civil wars where the Taliban were fighting against groups like the Northern Alliance, and then on into the conflict with the British and the Americans and the international force, the Deobandi provided the ideology and the foot soldiers for the Taliban. And the reason that the Deobandi are so important, and the reason the Deobandi are being hailed as a solution to the problem of Britain by the security services, by the deep state, is because they are the biggest Islamic denomination or sect in the United Kingdom. Deobandi mosques make up 42% of mosques in the UK. And in fact, there's one a 10-minute drive from my house. So for the deep state, for the security services to be seriously thinking about handing the keys to our country to a fundamentalist religious sect that cares nothing for Christianity, nothing for secularism, and is totally wedded to the idea of an Islamic state, well, to say it's problematic is an absolute understatement. But this is the sort of information that we need to hear. And to me, that was the most explosive moment in the whole interview. The fact that the security services have pretty much surrendered to Islamic extremism.